Thank you, Ceci and John. Wow, it smells really good right here. Ceci, that must be you, right? I'm sure you smell good too, John. Well, good to see you, everybody. Today is Graduate Sunday. We're so glad to be celebrating our students today. I have kept this morning's sermon deliberately brief because I know we're eager to celebrate in the next room there. But though today's sermon is brief, it's a little bit hard-hitting. And as a father, I found myself writing this week thinking what I would want to tell my kids when they get to the point of graduation. And even though this sermon is written to our students this morning, I hope that it bothers all of us equally. All right? Students, the world you are entering carries heavy burdens. Perhaps heavier than any I have witnessed in my lifetime. You may think that the world has always been this way, but those of us that are here will tell you that it hasn't always been this way. It was never perfect, but it was better. And I want to begin by saying this, students, that the brokenness of the world you're inheriting is not your fault, but it is your responsibility. It belongs to all of us who came before my generation, every generation. We have made the world what it is today. It's the awakening that every generation comes to sooner or later, knowing that the world we live in is the world that we have agreed to. If it isn't, we haven't disagreed enough. And when I hear that statement, there's a part in me that gets a little angry. Because I think of all I have done, and the world is still the way it is. And that's why it takes more than just me. That's why it takes more than just you. It takes us. It takes we. If you happen to, students, choose to get a tattoo sometime when you're in college, I might suggest this as a thing to get tattooed somewhere on your arm or something. But as always, you should run it by your parents first. Even though you're out of the house, you're just barely out of the house. So a tattoo is call mom time if you're considering that, okay? Our passage for today, and the passage I want to send you out into the world with, is a short one from Proverbs, the book of wisdom, and it says this: the liberal person will prosper. Those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed. The liberal person will prosper, and those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed. The word translated here as liberal is the Hebrew word Nadiv. Can anyone say that? Nadiv. Not naive, Nadiv. Nadiv. And Nadiv is when you give your lunch away to someone, even though you are hungry. Nadiv is when you drive someone to chemotherapy on your only day off. Nadiv is holding your tongue when you know that you could unleash a statistical barrage that would annihilate your tormentor. Nadiv describes the kind of generosity that defies logic. And as an adult who hasn't done this very well, students, this is what I want to see you become. Nadiv. I know a woman in Detroit who earns $11 an hour working at a nursing home. And every month she sends $200 to her sister in Honduras, who is also struggling. I know a teacher who buys school supplies with his own paycheck. I know a social worker who bends the rules from time to time at work to give a family a little extra help. Why do some people behave like this? Why do some people live like this? Because they have completely given themselves over to Nadiv. The idea that the world that I am experiencing, I don't experience in a vacuum. Everything I think about, everything I consume, everything I generate is connected to another person in some way, big or small. People like this have chosen to be liberal. They've chosen to be Nadiv. Illogical, yes. Beautiful, yes. Risky, yes. But holy, sacred, good. And my question this morning to our students, to all of us, is from this day forward, what if Nadiv, what if that became the thing we leaned into with all of the energy we have in our lives? There's an old story about a Cherokee grandfather who is talking with his grandson, and he says to him, "Grandson, it's as if two wolves are alive inside of me. One wolf is good and does no harm. He lives in harmony with all around him and doesn't take offense easily. He fights only when fighting serves justice and protects others. But then there is another wolf that is always consumed by rage. The smallest slight sends him into a fury. He fights everyone constantly and for no good reason. His anger and hatred cloud all of his thinking. Sometimes it is exhausting to carry these two wolves inside of me because both are fighting to control my spirit." And the boy looks intently into his grandfather's eyes and asks, "Grandfather, which wolf wins?" And the grandfather smiles and quietly says, "The one that I feed the most." Living a life of Nadiv starves the bad wolf and it feeds the good wolf. And students, as you spend your final summer here in Bethesda, I do not want you to go out into the world and simply make a difference. That phrase has been used so often that it's been stripped of its meaning. Instead, I want you to go out into the world and refuse to ever stop being disturbed by it. I don't ever want you to get comfortable with the way that the world is, because even if the world is at its best, it can be better. And I'm not going to do that. My time has passed. But your time lies ahead. In a world growing increasingly numb, your capacity to simply be moved by something, to be genuinely affected by what happens to other people, is the greatest form of resistance. Every systemic change begins with individuals who didn't like the way things were. And perhaps, just perhaps, in a world where everyone calculates the odds before taking any action, you will be the generation that chooses not to calculate and just chooses to love anyway. You won't just change the world around you. You'll actually see systems start to behave more graciously. So I want you to go into your life of college and new friends and have lots of fun and don't do anything stupid, and make sure you call your mom at least once a week. And I want you to enjoy stepping into a broken and beautiful world that needs you. Not one that's tolerating you, not one that doesn't want you here, but a world that deeply, deeply needs what's inside of your head and inside of your heart. And when you encounter the disasters and the wonder of this life, and you will, don't get stuck calculating it. Just hold on to your humanity. Just be a good person. Not because you're afraid of a God that's going to judge you if you don't. But being a good person for the sake of goodness itself, that too is God. Let's pray.